Hello, it is Monday, December 30th, 2024. I'm Chris Ramo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. And welcome back to the New York Times Crossword to Will Shortz, the returning longtime daily crossword editor at the New York Times, who has sufficiently recovered from his stroke, which he experienced early this year, in order to actually return to editing the puzzle. I'm very pleased to see his name back in the byline. And there's an absolutely fascinating article that you can read on, brainandlife.org, that was shared in the Daily Solve Discord chat server. At least that's where I saw it linked. That explains the experience that Will Shortz had with a stroke earlier this year and the recuperation and recovery process that he's been undergoing since then to get to the point where he's able to return to his daily work. So I'd highly recommend reading it. It begins in absolutely harrowing fashion, describing the experience of his perceiving the effects of the stroke initially, and then attempting to get to the hospital. And he was home alone, and it was sort of a terrifying read. And then it describes the process he's been undergoing since then. But it's a very interesting article, and I would recommend it to you. So yes, welcome back, Will Shortz. Very exciting, and I assume that he's back for the long haul. It seems as though, based on that article, that his recovery is. I mean, I gather from having read it that there's no such thing as being sort of 100% recovered from a stroke. It's a spectrum that on which he will continue as the months and years progress, but presumably he's back for good at this point. And this, once again, Will Shortz edited edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Adam T., Jake Rodkin, and, as always, the indomitable Shoalmaster, the indefinable Charlie Paget, and the inexplicable Chris Ward. Thank you so much to the 5 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support. They do, of course, keep this series going, and for that, I'm very grateful. Thanks to them and to everybody who supports the channel via Patreon. If you'd like to do so, you can head to patreon.com/dailysolve or click the description field link where you'll find the bonus videos available to patrons. And for benefactors like those I just mentioned, the official Let's Check the Crosses Daily Solve mug. Thanks again to everybody who supports the channel in that way. And thanks if you subscribe on YouTube. That's a big help. And finally, you can join that Daily Solve Discord chat server that I mentioned, where I was fortunately alerted. Well, I was both alerted to that article about Will Shortz and his recovery, but also I was alerted there to the fact that he was returning at all. So I was aware and able to sort of read up and not be taken by surprise when I started the video and saw his byline. Anyway, there's a link to that welcoming chat community down in the description field. And now let's get on to this Will Shortz edited puzzle. It's a Monday crossword. I'm not going to do the speed solve today. I'm just going to solve this at a normal pace. Maybe I'll do a speed solve tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But in any case, this is a debut construction. So welcome to Hannah Binney, who in her debut is welcoming Will Shortz back. And it's a Monday puzzle. It will have a theme. It should be a fairly approachable crossword. And it was edited, as always, by Will Shortz. Let's start solving, see how we get on. Brainy. The most obvious answer would be smart, but let's see. Yeah, probably is, because basketball star Curry, even I know of Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. Let's see, brainy. It probably is. Let's just try. It's a Monday puzzle. It probably is simply smart. Blank Park, location of Edison's first major laboratory. Menlo Park. I do know that, Thomas Edison. Type of pear. Is there an Asian pear, I think, maybe? Let's try that and see. I think that's right. Choir member. No, it's not that. Choir member is probably a tenor. That's one of the standard vocal ranges. Waiter's imperative after bringing food. Waiter's imperative after bringing food. Enjoy. An imperative command on the part of the waiter. To attempt something is to try it. Oh, anjou pear. That's what I was trying to think of. There we go. And then it might have a twist or hole, a plot twist or a plot hole. And plant affliction that's below ground. A root rot, I think I've heard of. That would make sense. Primitive timer, an hourglass. A primitive but effective and ingenious timer. Grasp tightly is to grab, probably. Globes are orbs. It probably is grab. Let's see. Canadian province that's home to the head smashed in Buffalo Jump World Heritage Site. Sorry, the head smashed in Buffalo Jump World Heritage Site. I do not know what that is, but it's clearly Alberta, Canada. That's a Canadian province that must be home to this extraordinarily named place. What a sleeve covers. It covers your arm. What grads become? They become alums, alumni of the university or other educational institution. Wacky could be zany. Let's try that and see if it works. Creatures that are actually black with white stripes. Oh, is that true? Zebras. That's so funny that I never really thought about that one way or the other. Although that is the kind of thing I remember as a child. I remember maybe not about zebras in particular, but I do remember thinking things like that. If something is sort of equally black and white, is it, or whatever, two colors, it doesn't really matter, but is it red with blue stripes or is it blue with red stripes, and how would you know? Anyway, writer Wiesel, Elie Wiesel. There's a writer. It was a writer. Tiny complaint is a knit. You could pick knits, make little gripes. Flower that reflects yellow when held under one's chin. A buttercup, I guess? What does that mean? I don't really know what that means. I don't know if that's a sort of funny thematic punny statement, although there's no question mark, so probably not. This is probably referring to some kind of phenomenon that's a mystery to me. Abominable snowman, the Yeti, is often called the abominable snowman. And character described as Austen as a heroine whom no one but myself will much like. That'll be Emma, I'm sure. I don't remember that. I don't think I've ever actually read Emma. I think I've seen screen adaptations of Emma, but I'm sure that's the answer. Don't worry about me. I'm good, maybe? I'm okay? I'm okay looks better than I'm good in terms of how it intersects with these letters, so I suspect that's the case. I understand you. Oh, maybe not. I understand. Oh, no, that's right, because over radio you could say copy. I understand you, copy. H2O in Mexico would be water, agua. Shirley Temple and Virgin Bloody Mary for two. These are mocktails. They're, sort of cocktails without alcohol. Advances are, well, it could be advances as a noun, but it could be advances as a verb. Progresses or something. Desktop computer that might run Sonoma or Sequoia. So those are two versions, I guess, of Mac operating system. So an iMac, an Apple computer. Advances, inroads, right? Okay, so it is a noun. You could make inroads, and then if something's forbidden, it's no go. A surface for doing exercises is a mat, and if you're going out romantically, you're on a date. A gait faster than a walk but slower than a canter would be a trot. And a snake-like fish is what? An eel or? Oh, fish can be plural, of course. So, sort of collective nouns. So eels, there we go. All right. And then to father a child could be to sire it. Texter's reaction to a joke could be lol, laughing out loud, or lots of laughs, I guess, depending on your preference. If one clinks a glass and gives a speech to someone, one toasts them. And units of force are newtons. That's an example of a unit of force in physics. A cry made while pointing would be what? Look. Yeah, look over there, look. And an NFL All-Star game. Maybe this isn't grab, actually. Maybe it's grip, because, sorry, I had a sneeze come on so strongly that it caused me to strike the 2 key here over Alberta. Hopefully I've remembered to edit that out of the video so you don't hear it. Anyway, NFL All-Star Game is, right, my thought was it's probably Pro Bowl, which sounds like it would be that sort of thing. And so changes grab to grip, which makes more sense for grasp tightly. You're going to grip it. Meh is, it's okay, it's so-so. Language suffix is ease, like, Chinese or Vietnamese or something. Recede as the tide would be to ebb. The tide ebbs, it recedes. And a bathroom fixture, a bathtub, yeah. To remove, say a politician from office would be to oust them. And Indian pastries with savory fillings are samosas. Sheep sounds are baas. And Enchanted Girl in a Gail Carson Levine book. Oh, I've heard of this, Ella Enchanted, and they've made a film adaptation of it. Probably more than one, I suspect. Let's see. Number one pal is a bestie, your best friend. Music genre prefix is alt, so alternative, I don't know what, alt rock, alt country, alt whatever. Some beers could be ales. There we go, some styles of beer. And biomedical building blocks are stem cells. There we go. No goodnik. A no goodnik is a so-and-so. Yeah, you could refer, in a sort of slightly quaint way, you could refer to someone, and no goodnik is kind of a quaint expression itself, so I think that that's a very fitting clue. It's sort of stylistically consistent. So you could call someone, oh, you dirty so-and-so, you utter no goodnik. Okay, so jazz combo instrument, what, alto sax maybe? Yeah, it's certainly a solid jazz instrument. Dish served from a crock pot would probably be a stew, slow cooker. A dish made in a slow cooker. All you need is love and a cat, old saying. I don't know that I've heard that, but it sounds fair enough. Place for policy wonks would be a think tank, so people who concern themselves with political policy, governmental policy. In stacks like a wedding cake would be tiered, and then obnoxious person informally would be, you could call them a total tool, but a cake would be tiered, and there we go. Sounds good. Yes, you could say. Evil hench animal in The Lion King, right? I remember the hyenas were the sort of hench creatures of Scar, is it, in The Lion King? I think that's right. And here's our theme revealer, which I have not been paying much attention to. Make logical sense, or what the ends of 18, 23, 38, and 51 across do. So we have cup, glass, bowl, and tank. Those all hold water. Very good. Good solid Monday theme. Don't need to pay huge amounts of attention to it during the solve. And of course, to hold water is to make logical sense. Okay, which this theme does. Huge to-dos would be, I don't know, but it ends with an S probably. Contents of a 23 across, contents of an hourglass would be sand. And then number of planets before Pluto was demoted, right? I grew up learning about the 9 planets, including Pluto. How to blank a blank. How to tie a tie would be a common tutorial topic. Certainly a thing on, well, I don't know that I've looked it up for a necktie, but I've certainly looked up how to tie a bow tie online for the very few occasions when I've been, when it's been necessary for me to wear a black tie apparel. Exhausted metaphorically would be dead. And let's see. Troubles are ills, or it could be ails. If something troubles you, it ails you. But if you have troubles, you could have ills. So I actually don't know which of those it is. Wish for a romantic pairing between in modern parlance. I do know this. I think this came up once in a crossword I was solving on this video, and I didn't at the time maybe know what it was. But you ship, from relationship, you as it says, you wish for a romantic pairing between. You imagine these characters from a fictional work being romantically entwined. So huge to-dos are scenes, big to-dos. Pepsi or Coke is a cola, a kind of soda. And troubles, they are ills, so it is the noun in this case. El Paso, Texas is a city. Norse god of war and death is Odin. And if one is prepared to, if one has prepared to propose, one has knelt down on one knee to propose marriage. The early bird gets the worm, for one, is an adage. It's a common saying. Landlocked African country is Niger. And a grammarian's concern would be the usage of various words. Food item that might come with lox, a bagel and lox, one of the great combinations. And a purple yam common in Filipino cooking is, it must be oob. I don't know that I know this. Is it oob or ube maybe? I'm not sure. but to put forth as effort would be to exert effort, and that should conclude the puzzle. So there we go. That was the Monday crossword, a nice, gentle return for Will Shortz by Hannah Binney. And there we go. We have our very Monday appropriate hold water theme, of course, disposed symmetrically throughout the grid. So a cup, a glass, a bowl, and a tank. Each one of those things holds water, of course. And those are part of larger phrases: buttercup, hourglass, pro bowl, and think tank. A nice simple Monday theme to which you would not have to pay all that much attention during the main solve, but your attention is drawn by the revealer. There we go. In a slightly unusual location for the revealer, it's flipped. It's usually over here, but it's not any kind of rule. It's not, I don't mean that as a qualitative judgment. It's just an observation. And there we go. That was the Monday crossword. I enjoyed it, and it's very nice to see Will Shortz back in the editor byline, by which I don't mean any disrespect to our interim editor, simply that Will Shortz is, of course, an institution in the crossword world, so it's glad to know that he's doing all right. And I'll be back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of the Daily Solve, so do join me for that. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Monday. Take care.